When it comes to saving money, one of the first milestones that it is often said we need to reach is saving $1,000. But the reality is that things have gotten so expensive, even $1,000 saved in an emergency account or in a savings account may not be sufficient to take care of certain emergencies. Imagine your car breaks down, your rent spikes, or you get hit with a surprise bill, and you only have $1,000 saved or you have no money saved. It is scary, I can imagine, for anyone who finds himself in this type of situation. That's why in this video, I'm going to show you 5 proven strategies that you can use to save $5,000 before the end of the year. These are exact steps I have taken and you can begin to implement in order to get results before the end of the year. Depending on your financial situation and how much you earn, it is important that we break down how we can easily reach our savings goal of $5,000. So let's make this practical. If we were starting the year, say January 1st, 2025, and we needed to save $5,000 before 31st of December, 2025, then we have roughly 365 days in a year. And if we take $5,000, we divide it by the number of days, 365, we would get about $13.70, which means we need to save $13.70 per day to have about $5,000 by the end of the year. Now, $13.70 doesn't seem like a lot. That's like a bowl of Chipotle, if you know what I mean. However, since you are probably watching this in the middle of the year 2025, it is obvious that we do not have the full 365 days to reach our $5,000 goal or to be able to save $13.70 per day to reach our $5,000 goal. So what do we have to do? It will be important to figure out how many days are left in the year. At the time of recording this video, today's date is April 28, 2025. And if you can just find a calculator that tells you the number of days left in the year, you will get the answer based on your own date. Based on my date, it currently tells me that I have 247 days left in the year 2025. Using a calculator, 5,000 divided by 247 days left in the year gives me $20.24, which means I need to save that amount every single day for the rest of the year to have $5,000 saved by December 31st, 2025. So for this particular calculation, here's a question I will be asking myself, assuming I needed to save $5,000. How can I save $20.24 each day for the rest of the year? Or how can I raise $20.24 each day for the rest of the year? Now, I know that it can be hard to come up with answers considering I've not even shared the strategies or steps you can take, but by the end of this video, it will become clear to you on the steps you can begin to implement right now. So without wasting much time, let's get into the first one, subscriptions. One of the first crucial steps to take in order to reach any financial milestone is to know where your money is going. This is not necessarily relating to budgeting, but of course, budgeting helps. In our current world, we are forced into subscriptions in almost any of the services or programs we come across. And these are often important programs for maybe daily living or just some important tasks that we need to implement or complete. And in order to get those things done, we are often put in a situation where we have to subscribe to a service. Now, let's be honest. In the short term, subscribing for some of these services can save you money, especially if they offer the subscription option or a one-time service. However, these companies know exactly what they are doing. They are counting on people like you and I to subscribe so that we can continue to pay them without even thinking about it. And guess what? They have an infinite supply of revenue to meet their own targets and line their pockets. For example, let's look at Netflix. For the past couple of years, Netflix has been raising its prices for its subscription packages. And as you know, most of us don't even think about those things because since you subscribed, let's say 5 years ago, you haven't bothered checking to see how much they're actually charging you. You see the Netflix charge and you just forget about it because, hey, you use Netflix, right? To surprise you, most people actually subscribe to Netflix for a few shows. And for that reason, those shows are really what attracts people like you and myself to those subscription services. Even if after we've completed those shows, we may not necessarily use that service on a regular basis, but guess what? We still leave our subscription service on, which means they continue to charge us because, hey, it's just convenient. However, I need to break it to you. If you want to save money, it is important to make sacrifices. And that means that you may need to take that diligent approach by going into your Netflix account and canceling that service. Now, I'm using Netflix as an example. but this applies to any subscription service that you may have. Are you truly using that service? This could be one of the ways in which you can begin to reach your set goals, especially if you wanted to save $5,000 before the end of the year. I know that monthly services may seem like very small. Maybe it's $15, maybe it's $20 per month, maybe it's $50 per month. It might not be a lot, but by the time you begin to cancel some of these subscription services that you don't really use, they begin to add up and makes it easier for you to reach your set goal. Next point is dining out. You see, we all need to eat. We all need food. We all need to survive. And most of us find ourselves in very unique situations. I'll take myself as an example. I work for an airline, which means that most of the time when I'm working, I find myself staying in hotels for the week. And that means that I'm forced to eat outside. Now, if you are somebody like me who works for an airline or who travels a lot, you're forced to eat in places that may not necessarily consider your budget. So what I do is that I look for affordable dining restaurants or places. And one of the things that I like, for example, using Chipotle as a reference point, I know that, hey, if I get a bowl of Chipotle in a specific area, considering I travel around, I would spend anywhere between $11 and $15 for a meal. And it makes it easier for me to budget for the week and say, assuming I'm starting the week for the next 4 or 5 days, if I spend, let's say $15 per meal 5 times a week, it gives me an X amount of money that I do know exactly where my money is going, and I don't have to worry about, if I spend too much or am I still within my budget. On the other hand, if you're somebody who has the ability to stay at home and cook at home, the recommended approach to you would be, before you start the week, it would be highly recommended that you cook and batch your meals or meal prep. And what that means is that you cook as much as you can for the week based on what you feel like eating that week or what you would normally eat that week, and then store them in a way that you can easily pick that food out, warm it up or reheat it, and then you eat the food. The benefit of this is that it will prevent you from getting tempted to go eat outside because there's no meal at home or you have to do this number of hours of cooking in order to eat. That will eliminate all those steps and make it easy for you to save money, which will then translate to you saving more money each day. The next point is save first. Saving our money goes a long way in any milestone, whether you want to pay off a debt, you want to buy a car, you want to buy a house, or you just want to save for emergencies. In this particular situation, if your goal is to reach $5,000 by the end of the year, then it will be important for you to begin saving first. Before you even pay any bill, take out $50 or take out $100 or take out $250. Whatever the number is for you, let it go separately into an account. Now, one thing to understand is that for each day that goes by, the amount of money that you have to save to reach that $5,000 goal will increase. Remember when I said at the beginning that in order for me to save, let's say $5,000, assuming I'm starting on the 1st of January and I have 365 days, I would only need to save $13.70. Considering I'm starting on the 28th of April 2025, I only have 247 days left, and that means that I have to save about $20.24 each day in order to reach my goal. And the longer I wait, the more money I have to save in order to reach that goal. So it's better you start now. For this next one, it might be quite difficult, but remember, like I said earlier, sacrifices are quite important in order to reach your goals. Well, this is one aspect in which you would have to make sacrifices, and that is sell some things. For example, you could sell unused furniture, unused clothes, or maybe even used clothes, sell some gadgets or electronics. Now, we all buy things at impulse, and some of these things, honestly speaking, are things that we may never use for a very long time, or maybe we only used it once and that was it. But guess what? What is not being used by you is what someone else is looking for. And that is why it is important to go back into your closet, go back into your electronic gadget storage system or whatever you use and pull them out. Now, I do this on a regular basis when I realize, okay, I might be acquiring some things that I'm not using. But it is best to avoid getting yourself in that situation in the first place. which means before you buy anything, make sure you actually truly need it. Considering you're just seeing this video, let's just assume that you've acquired some of these things and you now realize that, hey, I don't really need them. List them up on Facebook, eBay, and the likes, and let somebody find it and take it away from you. But guess what? They put some money in your pocket that helps you to reach your own set goals. It is not that difficult. It is easy. Polish those things up. If it's a gadget, clean it up, make sure it looks great, and put it up for sale. If it's a couch, a chair, a bed, whatever it may be, clean it up, make sure it looks good, and list it properly on some of these websites that I've just mentioned. And guess what? Somebody takes off that junk away from you and puts money in your pocket, and you can then put the money away to reach your savings goal. This is very practical, so you have to be willing to cut your losses on such item. If you realize it's not really working for you, let it go and let somebody else take it, because somebody else may need that thing urgently and might be willing to pay you a lot of money for it. If you're still here watching this video, please don't forget to drop a like on the video. It goes a long way, and let me know what steps you are taking out of the 4 steps that I've shared so far, and let me know how you're going to implement those steps in the comment section. I would appreciate it. But now let's continue to the next one, which is avoid debt. You see, debt is one of the biggest reasons why a lot of people don't save. They want to pay off a credit card, they want to pay off a car, they want to pay off student loans, they want to pay off a house. All those types of debts can really slow you down, because it's like a burden that slows up your ability to save or your speed of saving. So the best approach is try to avoid such debt as much as you can. Now, we can get into the good debt and bad debt, but without boring you, good debts are debts that tends to appreciate the value of the item. So for example, gold. If you have gold and you have debt buying that gold, the truth is, if it's a very low interest rate that you've acquired that item, you may be making money keeping that item for as long as possible. Another example would be a house. Generally speaking, a house would appreciate in value if it's in a great neighborhood. But with that said, that doesn't mean that you should go blindly buying some of these things on debt, because at the end of the day, you still are responsible for paying those things off. The worst though is getting into credit card debt, car notes, and the likes, because those are generally losing value. And to be honest with you, most of us will get credit cards and will spend that money on things that are worthless. At the end of the day, you look back and you can't even point to what you spend that money on. Hence the reason why you want to make sure that whatever credit card you own, you only use it when you know you can pay off the debt on it. And that would force you to critically think about what you're spending the money on, so that you don't acquire things that are useless or that will just drain your money away. Once you avoid debt and you put all your effort into saving, your goal will become achievable, and you will come back to say thank you because you watched this video. And if you have, check out my next video. I believe you will benefit from it, and let me know again in the comment what you are doing to reach your goal. I'll see you in a future video.